It's a different kind of thing. So there's got to be still, what has to be protected is the singular experience of experiencing a picture, ideally with an audience, you know. But there's room for so many others now, and so many other ways, and there's going to be crossovers completely. The value, how do you say, the value of a film that's like a theme park film, for example, the Marvel type pictures, where the theaters become amusement parks. That's a different experience, and it's like, it's not even, I was saying earlier, it's not cinema, it's something else. You know, whether you go for that or not, but it is something else, and we shouldn't be invaded by it. And so that's a big issue. That's a big issue. And we need the theater owners to step up for that, you see, to allow theaters to show films that are narrative films.
He's out of line, but he's right.
Someone asked me, bro, when are you reviewing the Deadpool 3 movie? And I told him that my cousin hasn't watched it, so I plan to make a reaction video with her. Well, yesterday, I told my cousin, I also don't want to make a reaction to this movie. Why? Because I have so much to say about it, and some people are probably just going to hit the dislike button and insult me even before they hear what I have to say. Because, geez, this movie is so hard to review. It's so hard to review because it does so many things right and it does so many things wrong. So, to understand why it does so many things right and does so many things wrong, you have to understand there's something called story plot and there's something called character plot. So here's just a small overview of Deadpool 3. It begins with a fight that I believe is meant to remind you of like the highway film, the highway fight of Deadpool 1. It's just a bunch of guys who would have never stood a chance against Wade fighting him. The movie goes back in time just like Deadpool 1 to give you context. Shows you that Wade is retired, he tries to join the Avengers, something, because he wants to feel that he matters or something. I have not rewatched this movie. It is out on digital, but I have not rewatched it. I'm just telling you what I remember since I saw it in cinema, because I watched it opening weekend. And the thing is, he's just living his life until the TVA show up to his door. This to me is lazy writing.
That's just lazy writing.
To me, I'm giving you my thoughts. It's okay if you don't agree. To me, it's lazy writing because it reminds me of the Garfield movie. The Garfield movie, I also gave it a negative review. Why? Because Garfield is just home, growing fat and living his life, and then so-and-so shows up at his door to kidnap him. So it's the same thing with this one. Wade is living his life feeling like he needs to do more, and then the TVA show up to kidnap him. Whenever you have a character just seated at home doing whatever he's doing, and then someone he doesn't know shows up to kidnap him, to me that's lazy writing. So already in terms of character plot, we're already suffering. And then he gets kidnapped, he gets taken to the TVA, you see a bunch of stuff from movies that you loved, that made you love the MCU. He's told, oh, your anchor being has died. He goes through, is it timelines or alternate timelines or universes looking for another Wolverine. Comic book nerds just get to jerk off as they see, I don't know, eye patch Wolverine and short Wolverine and 80s Wolverine. Just dopamine hit after dopamine hit.
Do not come. Do not come.
I'm gonna come.
That's what you were expecting from a Deadpool and Wolverine movie, right? So he grabs the Wolverine that is drunk and feeling all bad because he did something wrong, takes him back. They wear the suits, and wow, everyone's just screaming themselves. Everyone's just screaming themselves because wow, look, right? And then right there, that's where the character plot stops. The character has done what he wanted to do, which is bring back the Wolverine to try and save his universe, whatever. Then they get banished to that underground realm where characters go, and that's where the character plot stops completely. After that, the rest is just story plot. Story plot is basically the plot bouncing the characters around like chess pieces. The characters now are being bounced around. They are not doing what they want to do. They are responding to whatever the plot is throwing at them. They meet the bald-headed lady, they fight, they escape, they meet the Deadpool, I don't know, the one who's not ugly looking on the face. Fast forward a bit, they meet a bunch of cameos, then they fight, then they save the world, then the movie ends. That's a summary of how the whole thing went. Yeah, I haven't even rewatched the movie as it came out on digital, but I remember it from cinema. That's from watching it in the cinema. That's a summary of how it went, right? And here's the thing: the fight scenes are so pointless, especially because you know that this guy can heal and this guy can heal. What's the point? You just watch them, and I'm guessing it's just because that's what comic book nerds want. That's what comic book nerds want. They want to watch this guy who they love versus this guy who they love fighting. Yeah, and references to comic books. So it's fine. It's okay. That's what I'm saying. It does so many things wrong, but it does so many things right. This movie uses the same old Marvel formula. What I mean by same old Marvel formula is that someone once told me, a DC guy, I'm even wearing a DC t-shirt, a DC guy once told me, Marvel always give the main character and the villain the same powers. Kinda like Black Panther, kinda like Iron Man 1, kinda like Ant-Man, kinda like think about most Marvel movies, the main character and the villain always have like the same-ish kind of powers. And this movie, Deadpool 3, if it was to be summarized, it would just be called sex jokes, violence, and cameos. That's what the movie is. It's sex jokes, violence, and cameos. And that's why it's so hard to rate, because that's what you come to a Deadpool movie for. Even the first movie, it's mostly sex jokes, cameos, from X-Men, and violence, a lot of violence. But that's what a Deadpool movie is. The issue between Deadpool 1 and Deadpool 3 is at least Deadpool 1 had the spine of being a love story, as Wade calls it. But in Deadpool 3, that one has been removed. Wade and Vanessa have broken up, so now it's more about Deadpool trying to redeem himself. The movie is like a very shiny shell with jewels on it, but it's very hollow. Yeah, it's superficially what you wanted, but it has no depth. It has no depth. It's like museum property. It's like you walk by being like, woo, the entire movie. Yeah, and that's why I say Martin Scorsese was right. It's funny because in February I uploaded my reaction. I'm doing this because it was more like a review of the teaser trailer for Deadpool 3. And I said exactly that. I said this movie is just going to open the cliches. It's going to use the cliches of Marvel, and is going to do what it has always done, which is appeal to you at a superficial level. Let me put that clip here. Now here we are with another third movie that is deploying the use of old characters that died, using time travel, which means that there is no real stakes, and then using cameos, Easter eggs to make you go, woo, woo, look, they referenced that thing from the other thing, which is basically just what Marvel has always done to make its audience. I can't believe that I'm actually agreeing with Martin Scorsese and DC guys. Marvel is so cheap. It's so it baits its audience. So they baited you in Echo, and here you are being baited again. Yeah, I was right. That's exactly what the movie turned out to be. Exactly. I was exactly right. That's exactly what the movie turned out to be. And I remember when I was in cinema, I went to the chick to watch that film. She's actually the one who took that picture. And I remember when the Blade cameo appears, this girl did not know who Blade was. She's 25, so I'm 31. So she had no idea what Blade was. She had no idea why people were yelling when Elektra showed up. She had no idea who Gambit was. So to her, these cameos were just pointless. It was like taking a bunch of toys and bashing them together, especially the third act. All those cameos you met, they fight, and Wade and Wolverine just go back home, and those characters didn't receive any sort of plot progression or any type of arc or anything like that. And here's the thing, I realized that in the end, not every movie has to be Lord of the Rings. Not every movie has to be like The Godfather and have all this complex writing. It's fine. That's why I say this movie does so many things right and it does so many things wrong, and even reviewing it is hard because you're asking me to abandon the rules of good filmmaking that I like to accept these superficial ones, but that superficial stuff is what I expected from the film. In the end, I thought the movie was okay-ish. It was okay-ish. It kind of reminds me of Five Nights at Freddy's. Five Nights at Freddy's, the movie. The people who played the game loved it. The people who don't play the game didn't understand what the hell was going on and found it to be disappointing. So if you're a comic book nerd, you probably loved it. But if you're just a general audience Marvel dude, you are kind of like, I didn't understand who the black guy was or who that other person with the hair and why Chris Evans was in the movie for like 5 minutes, then he died. Because it was, as Martin Scorsese said, a theme park amusement ride. Woo! And then the guy died. And anyway, this movie was like the Spider-Man No Way Home of this phase, in my opinion. You get a bunch of cameos together, you do the alternate universe thing, and you get a bunch of superheroes that you love all in the same room. The difference between Deadpool 3 and Spider-Man No Way Home is that at least Spider-Man No Way Home had like a story behind it. With Deadpool 3, it's a very thin plot. Very thin, if you can even call it plot. That's what I'm telling you. The story plot ended once Wade brought back Wolverine back to the TVA. After that, everything else is just story plot. It's just story plot, moving the characters around. They are responding to whatever the plot is throwing them. Out of 10, I give this movie a 7 as a Deadpool film. I think the first one was much better because, as Deadpool said, it's a love story. And even the second one at least had the love element. This third one does not have that because Vanessa and Deadpool broke up. Also, I hate the fact that now people can just come back. People can always come back. Dying doesn't necessarily mean anything. So I give it a 7 out of 10. As an MCU film, I give it a 6 out of 10. To me, it was a disappointing film because I went to watch it because I bought into the hype of, this movie is going to reboot the MCU and it's going to restart afresh and Marvel is going to be better. Agatha Harkness is still there and we have to go watch Captain African American. We still have to go watch Captain African American. That I heard the movie was so bad in the original screenings that the budget is ballooned to like 400 million. So the movie has to make like $1 billion for it to make a profit. So that one's obviously going to tank. Anyway, those were my thoughts, my genuine, honest thoughts. I haven't watched the movie on digital. I'm just telling you what I thought after I came out of the cinema that day. I was planning to do a reaction with my cousin. I don't feel like it. The movie isn't worth my time. I don't want to be because of a cameo. Like, I'm not a 5-year-old. Come on. For other reviews, I'll leave them here, and in the comments, I'll see you in the next one.